Cleaning up the database of the Poverty Alleviation Program, PAP, continues as social officers remove irregularities in the program according to ministry sources. At a recent press conference, Minister of Social Development Dr. Jeffrey Hanley indicated that while the re-registration process is taking place, moves are on the way to correct erroneous information and to implement new policies and administrative procedures. He also clarified concerns over payments from the PAP in light of policy changes and initiatives being put in place.
There are a number of irregularities that we picked up in the PAP program, and as a result, we are revamping and restarting with improvement. I must say that persons who might be saying that they have not received their PAP payment could have only happened under two circumstances. One, when we check or did cross-reference of the database, they are over the threshold of 3,000. And then two, when we check with Social Security and did our cross-reference with Social Security numbers, we recognize that there were a number of applicants who had whether fake Social Security numbers or numbers that don't match with the Social Security. So as a result, we put a stop on the payment until the persons were able to show their correct Social Security. So the payments still continue. And even as we are getting ready as early as next week to start the re-registration, payments will continue.
It is expected that the minister will issue an official statement soon regarding the revamped PAP. Glenn Bart reporting for SK Newsline.
The future of the opposition political parties on St. Kitts in the aftermath of the August 5th general elections is very uncertain and depends on a number of factors, reasons political analyst Peter Wickham. For the People's Action Movement, PAM, he believes they need new leadership that can inspire the 57-year-old political party to relevance once again.
Frankly, Andre, I am looking at the current situation and I cannot see a reasonable path back to victory for the People's Action Movement. I'm seeing a situation in which the People's Action Movement will continue to hemorrhage under this current arrangement. My personal feeling was that the People's Action Movement was in the best place it ever was in the last situation because there seemed to have been a political maturity that understood not only that they were sharing power now, but there was a reasonable path to PAM leadership coming out of that arrangement. Now, I'm told that that path had been destroyed even before the government was destroyed. I don't know whether that's the case or not, but the point is that certainly if I look back 2 years ago, I could see a path. I could see a path that could have led to Sean Richards becoming Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, and essentially for PAM to be able to say they will restore the leadership of the country to the PAM home at some point in time in the future. Realistically, now, I cannot see how that will happen. The question is, what is PAM's pathway to victory where it secures the government on its own or alternatively in association with the CCM? Whether or not the CCM's star has also started to pitch is another matter altogether. But for the time being, I'm not really seeing it. I'm seeing a PAM leadership, which is currently under Sean Richards. Sean Richards has not made a significant political statement since the last election. Frankly, I think that Sean Richards is somewhat embarrassed by virtue of the fact that he stood up and he took a position and he was proven to be wrong.
Regarding the People's Labour Party, the PLP, Mr. Wickham believes its future rests on whether its leader, Dr. Timothy Harris, remains at the helm.
So the future of the PLP is very much wrapped up in the future of Dr. Timothy Harris. If Dr. Timothy Harris decides that he's finished with politics, it's going to be difficult to see how the PLP is going to shine beyond that. My feeling is that the PLP can lose a few elections and still survive simply because the expectations for the PLP are relatively low. PLP has been in office once, it won 2 elections. There are very few political parties that could be said to have formed, and within months of forming are in government and also holding the leadership. And that's a pretty distinguished track record. The difference between them and Palm is that Palm has been at it for a long time and isn't really able to produce the success. So my sense is that if the PLP lasts until the next election, if it is able to hold on to the leadership of Dr. Harris, or alternatively change leadership and emerge with someone who is of the same kind of political attraction as Dr. Harris, and hold on to a seat or two in the next election, I think it has a future. But I think we need to wait till the next election to see that. If the PLP is able to hold or gain an additional seat in the next election, in a situation where PAM is unable to gain an additional seat or alternatively loses an additional seat, to me, it threatens the viability of PAM, and it creates the opportunity either for PAM to implode completely or quickly, or alternatively to negotiate an accommodation with PLP yet again and create the opportunity for one or two of them to emerge as a competitor or serious threat to the St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party.
The People's Action Movement suffered a heavy loss in the August 5th snap elections, losing 3 of the 4 seats it held for the past 7 years, the largest bloc in the Team Unity government. The People's Labour Party, with 2 seats, ended up with only 1, that of their leader, Dr. Timothy Harris. But the PLP gained more popular votes than the PAM, registering 5,036 votes, 299 more votes than the PAM's 4,737. Both parties had a maximum combined 7 seats in the National Assembly when they formed the Team Unity government, and are now left with only 2 seats. The full interview with Mr. Wickham can be found on the Voice of the Caribbean website, www.voiceofthecaribbean.net, by clicking the Listen to Our Shows on Demand button. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline. The holiday season is approaching, and now is the time to get the message out about your business. SK Newsline introduces special advertising rates for the Christmas season with our Christmas specials. You can advertise on the SK Newsline Newscast or send special holiday greetings to the general public with our Christmas greetings on both SK Newsline and Voice of the Caribbean Radio at affordable prices. Call our marketing department for more information, 665-7496, or email advertising@sknnewsline.com. 'Tis the season to be jolly, so enjoy our Christmas specials at SK Newsline and Voice of the Caribbean Radio and promote your business the effective way this holiday season. Your vehicle is very important to you. That's why you should ensure it gets the best service and care possible only at IAS Diagnostic Center, located at Bird Rock behind the Life Fitness Center gym. Come to IAS Diagnostic Center for wheel alignment, rotor cutting, AC servicing, wheel balancing, oil filter change, diagnostic, tire repair and sale, tinting, and much more. With top-of-the-line equipment, come to IAS Diagnostic Center in Bird Rock. Opening hours Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Call 767-4422, 662-4416, or 466-6708. IAS Diagnostic Center for quality care of your vehicle.
The SKN Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips. Nestled between evergreen mountains and the Caribbean Sea on the island of St. Kitts is the Mill House Guest House and Convention Center. With breathtaking views, a rugged, beautiful shoreline, and immaculate manicured gardens make this the perfect location for your holiday, event, or wedding. With a large convention center, apartments with balconies providing stunning views, and a secluded cottage for larger family groups or honeymooning couples looking for some privacy. We have something for everyone. Book your stay at www.millhouseskn.com or visit our Facebook page, the Mill House Guest House and Convention Center, an oasis of tranquility.
A leaked letter from the Nevis Evangelical Association to Premier Mark Brantley concerning a possible date for Nevis Island elections has resulted in comments from the Nevis Reformation Party as well as the incumbent Concerned Citizens Movement. The concerns expressed by both parties for different reasons seem to be centered around the Evangelical Association's belief that the elections could be called in December. Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, leader of the Nevis Reformation Party, commented on the matter while a guest on Your Voice for the NRP, saying she understands the concerns of the association while taking a jab at the Premier and the CCM party.
I can share the concern that the Evangelical Association would have. Most of us would look to Christmas as a time of coming together, as a time when we can be joyous and put differences aside and really appreciate the true meaning of Christmas. As the letter would have indicated, it's a naturally divisive time when elections are in the air. And when we speak of democracy and you have two different parties contesting, you would expect that there would be some divisiveness. To the extent that, you know, the Premier would not recognize, you know, what the Evangelical Association is trying to, you know, portray or trying to get some response to. It gives an indication that, as we all know, you know, the Premier and his party is really about self-serving. What's in the best interest for me?
Commenting on the Evangelical Association's letter at a CCM town hall meeting, Premier Brantley said he noted the antagonistic tone of the letter.
In the letter, they indicated that if I were to call an election in December, they would not stand idly by. And I wasn't so sure what they meant by that, because I didn't think it was, just as it would be out of order for me to seek to threaten the church, I think it is out of order for the church to seek to threaten the government. It is within the purview, as a matter of law, of the Premier of Nevis to call an election at any point that he feels to call an election. Those are the rules and that is the law. And as I said, while I welcome interaction with the church, I thought the letter was a little combative when it didn't need to be. Notwithstanding that, I have responded to the letter and I've indicated to the church that the election will come when it will come. And we just have to deal with it. Because the truth is that while Advent is certainly a holy time of year, Advent, I believe, starts on the 27th of November. It ends on Christmas Eve, I think, then there's Christmas Day. Then Epiphany starts on January 6th. It runs all through February. And then Lent starts. Lent runs all through March. Then Easter starts. Easter runs all through April. So when are we going to have the election? So the question is, for me, one of respecting the church, because I will never disrespect the church, but also saying to the church that we have a constitutional responsibility to have an election so that the people of Nevis can elect the government of their choice.
There has been no indication from Premier Brantley when the elections will be held, but he legally has until April 2023 to hold the elections. Glenn Bart reporting for SKN Newsline.
Blockchain researcher and scientist Dr. Daniel Joseph is encouraging persons to engage in proper research and due diligence checks before investing in cryptocurrencies. Speaking on this week's edition of ECCB Connects, Dr. Joseph shares information on the risk and benefits associated with investing in cryptocurrencies. He says a key feature of cryptocurrency is the decentralized financial system, which allows an individual to make money move across borders without the restrictions of a broker or financial regulator.
Historically, Bitcoin, the value of Bitcoin or most cryptocurrencies have been quite volatile. So you could wake up one morning, a Bitcoin could be worth $100. Tomorrow it's worth $2. You know, it could lose its value. Tomorrow it could be worth $200. So if you have a fiat that's stable, like I said, you'd be willing to purchase something at this store because you know this $2 is worth $2. But would you purchase something at this store if tomorrow that $2 bill is worth $100? You might want to wait, you know. So because of the volatility, the non-fungibility, and people seeing cryptocurrency as more as an investment.
According to Dr. Joseph, some advantages of cryptocurrencies include free and quick movement of funds, as well as easy access to financial services, products, and instruments. He notes, however, that cryptocurrencies are quite volatile and involve a very high risk. Furthermore, the decentralized system on which the cryptocurrency operates does not allow for any recourse or layer of protection for the investor.
Decentralized trust, in that you have many individuals, any individual who wants to can be part of the process. So you have multiple nodes that each of them have a copy of the ledger. Like instead of the bank having one copy of the ledger, everyone has a copy of the ledger. Now the challenge is, if everyone has a copy of the ledger, how do you know which version of the ledger is correct? Because any of the participants could make some changes maliciously or otherwise. So how do you know which version is the correct ledger? So the key challenge was to be able to solve a consensus, to reach a consensus as this is the correct version of the ledger. So what Bitcoin did when it was introduced in 2009, 2008 was to come with a solution of reaching that consensus.
Dr. Joseph cautions that prior to investing in these types of cryptocurrencies, a person should conduct research. In recent months, there has been an increase in the use of cryptocurrency in St. Kitts and Nevis, most notably the Bitcoin Cash. To view the full discussion with Dr. Joseph, persons are encouraged to log on to the ECCB's YouTube channel and Facebook page, ECCB Connects. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline. The holiday season is approaching, and now is the time to get the message out about your business. SK Newsline introduces special advertising rates for the Christmas season with our Christmas specials. You can advertise on SK Newsline Newscast or send special holiday greetings to the general public with our Christmas greetings on both SK Newsline and Voice of the Caribbean Radio at affordable prices. Call our marketing department for more information, 665-7496, or email advertising@sknnewsline.com. 'Tis the season to be jolly, so enjoy our Christmas specials at SK Newsline and Voice of the Caribbean Radio and promote your business the effective way this holiday season. Your vehicle is very important to you. That's why you should ensure it gets the best service and care possible only at IAS Diagnostic Center, located at Bird Rock behind the Life Fitness Center gym. Come to IAS Diagnostic Center for wheel alignment, rotor cutting, AC servicing, wheel balancing, oil filter change, diagnostic, tire repair and sale, tinting, and much more. With top-of-the-line equipment, come to IAS Diagnostic Center in Bird Rock. Opening hours Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Call 767-4422, 662-4416, or 466-6708. IAS Diagnostic Center for quality care of your vehicle.
Online radio has never been this great. It's Voice of the Caribbean Radio at voiceofthecaribbean.net. Tune into Voice of the Caribbean Radio for great Caribbean programs, news, entertainment, sports, and current affairs. Wake up each morning and be inspired with One Day at a Time with Kim Huey. Stay abreast with news across the Caribbean and internationally with the Caribbean News Hour, and be entertained with shows like Reggaeville, Caribbean Classics, and Jive Music Show. Visit our website, download our Android mobile app, or listen us on TuneIn Radio. There is so much more on Voice of the Caribbean Radio, reaching the Caribbean and beyond. Check website or app for program schedule.
Auto Plus Car Wash, located on the College Street Gut, Bastille, St. Kitts. Bring your car to Auto Plus Car Wash to remove water stains, wiper marks. Get your doors, roof panel cleaned, seat floor mats, buffing, headlights, and engine wash. You get quality service at the best price at Auto Plus Car Wash. They really care for your car. Call 765-5140 or visit them on the College Street Gut, Bastille, St. Kitts. Auto Plus Car Wash, where the service is number one. If you're looking for a place to host that special event, conference, meeting, social event, party, whatever the occasion, your best option is the Millhouse Convention Center in Palmetto Point, St. Kitts. Located on the picturesque Garvey's Estate, the Millhouse Guesthouse Convention Center has enough space for outdoor events overlooking the Caribbean Sea. If you're looking indoors, the center is equipped with amenities needed to make your event a success, And by combining both spaces, you're sure to have a memorable event, no matter the occasion. Call the offices at Millhouse Guest House and Convention Center to book your next event on simply the most beautiful place in St. Kitts. Call 668-1392. Millhouse Convention Center at Garvey's Estate, Palmetto Point, St. Kitts. Making your event memorable.
Workers at the Grenada Port Authority have ceased all industrial actions and are back to duty, as announcements were made by the government over the weekend that all parties have reached a settlement. The anticipated resolution saw workers immediately return to work and the speedy restoration of services at the port. The negotiations were facilitated by Minister for Legal Affairs, Labour and Consumer Affairs and Attorney General Claude Joseph and Labour Commissioner Mrs. Valerie Thomas. President of the GTAU, Andre Lewis, during an interview with the newsroom, explains.
The port matter came to an end by the signing of an agreement between the Grenada Ports Authority and the Technical and Allied Workers Union, witnessed by the Minister for Labour, and both the Minister for Labour and Labour Commissioner played a very pivotal role in bringing this to an end. As a matter of fact, this matter ought to have ended since Tuesday night, when we left the Ministry of Labour, Minister Warren, into Wednesday morning. But it is what it was, that where we found ourselves having to remain outside for another 3 days. And the agreement was signed on Tuesday, and the parties are satisfied with where we are at.
At the end, the worker who was laid off is back at work, says Lewis, and he further noted that there are other issues within the port that will be addressed in the coming future.
The worker job has been saved, and we take it from there going forward. And we look forward to a good working relationship with the authority, as we have been calling for in the past. There are some things that needs to be ironed out, and we are hopeful that we can sit together in a different atmosphere to address those issues that has caused the toxic relationship on the port. In our view, it is not difficult to address. We just have to put our mind to it and work towards it, and we look forward to that with great anticipation.
Through a press release issued by government, the Labour Minister, Claude Joseph, expressed appreciation to the parties for their cooperation and efforts in working towards an amicable solution to the matter. She noted, however, that it was unfortunate the dispute escalated to the most extreme form of industrial action as a first response, and before the dispute resolution mechanism contained in the collective bargaining agreement between the parties was triggered. For GBN News, I am Rena P. Thomas reporting.
President Evans Ali has come in for heavy criticisms over the 8% salary increase for public servants. Last evening, President Ali announced the pay hike, which would be retroactive from January 2nd, 2022, and will be paid in December salaries. However, Vice President of the Guyana Public Service Union, GPSU, Don Gardner, poured cold water on the increase, deeming it disrespectful and unacceptable.
The Guyanese are experiencing an astronomical increase in the cost of living. We cannot run away from that, right? And to have 8% is a disrespect. It's unacceptable. It's that you're putting the Guyanese people to live more in poverty.
The Alliance for Change AFC, one of the coalition partners, also weighed in on the salary hike, calling it another meager and maltreatment meted out to public servants. The AFC contends that the effect of present-day inflation on the purchasing power of public servants require more than an 8% increases the government is unilaterally granted.
The government has mocked and humiliated the public servants by denying this increase from the beginning of the year, to now deliver it as a lump sum in December month, when they were struggling from January to November, is uncaring and reprehensible.
This newscast reached out to several public servants, and all noted that the increase is not livable and is a mere $8,000 on their salary, and when taxed will decrease. Moreover, the opposition has been calling for decent and livable wages for public servants to cushion Guyana's extremely high cost of living. Only last month, the Guyana Public Service Union instituted legal proceedings against the government over an unilateral 7% salary increase announced last year for public sector employees. Reporting for HGP Nightly News, I am Shumar Allen.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has called on his country to try and limit its use of energy. This is after what he says has been a systematic damage to Ukraine's energy grid by Russian attacks. There have been what he described as unscheduled power cuts due to what he says is a higher level of consumption that can be provided for.
Of course, energy workers, utility workers, rescuers and everyone involved are working at their maximum. But the systematic damage to our energy network by the attacks of Russian terrorists is so significant that all of our people and businesses should be very frugal and try to spread consumption across the day.
Well, Mr. Zelensky's appeal comes as the World Health Organization warned that millions of Ukrainians face a life-threatening winter because of those power shortages. The WHO says it has also verified more than 700 attacks on Ukraine's health infrastructure, so that includes hospitals, since that war began.
Half of Ukraine's energy infrastructure is either damaged or destroyed. This is already having knock-on effects on the health system and on the people's health. Put simply, this winter will be about survival.
Let's get the latest on the situation from our correspondent, Jessica Parker, who's in Kyiv for us. Good to have you with us. Just how serious is this for people with their day-to-day lives?
Well, what we're seeing at the moment is a series of outages for families and businesses. Now, some of those are planned, they are scheduled, so we expect further planned scheduled outages to take place today. But also sometimes they are emergency blackouts as well. And this is after, of course, the authorities say that around nearly half of Ukraine's energy infrastructure has been damaged in Russian missile attacks. And that they are working, as President Zelensky was just talking about there, to carry out repairs. But that does bring challenges. For example, people I've been speaking to talk about how a lot of that infrastructure, Soviet era, so they need to look to other countries, former Soviet countries, for parts in order to carry out those repairs. And they say they're working hard to do that. But it's quite interesting overnight, the head of Yasno, which is an energy provider to around 3.5 million people, including here in Kyiv, is saying that actually Ukrainians may need to prepare for blackouts running until at least the end of March. But he says it's quite a variable situation and depends, for example, if there are further attacks on the energy infrastructure. But certainly one of the messages being sent out by the Ukrainian authorities to the wider population is to be frugal, not to use energy if possible as well during peak hours.
Goodness, but this is coming into the winter. We can see the backdrop that you have there, Jess, with snow on the ground. And I'm wondering, because I suppose there's kind of two tiers, isn't it? There's people and their day-to-day lives, but then aspects like their healthcare, their hospitals, how will they manage?
Well, it's worth saying, so we heard some pretty stark warnings from the World Health Organization yesterday, as you were just reflecting, but there are kind of critical services that do, for example, have backup generators, so they don't actually have to rely on that power grid if, for example, there is an outage. So there is, I think, work there to try and protect those kind of critical pieces of infrastructure. Worth mentioning as well, I mean, the World Health Organization talked, as you were just mentioning there, about how they had verified around 700 so-called attacks on health infrastructure. Now, I'm told that includes things like medical supplies, but their definition of what an attack might constitute is pretty broad. And they also, officials tell me, say that it's not up to them to decide or work out whether so-called attacks were deliberate or incidental, accidental, and who might have carried them out. But I think the bigger picture message they were trying to clearly send yesterday was of huge concern, not just about the state of the energy infrastructure and the health infrastructure, but also the impact the cold weather will have on people in their everyday lives. So it exposes them, for example, more to respiratory diseases, especially if they don't get the heating in order to keep them warm as the temperature gets colder. And you're right, it is getting pretty cold here. Temperatures today in Kyiv hovering around -2, but of course temperatures will drop further as the winter carries on.
Jess, thanks so much for speaking to us.
In our SK Newsline Sports Roundup, we start off with news in the World Cup. Let's look at the results in the FIFA World Cup being played in Qatar since the start of the tournament. Well, on Sunday, the tournament opened with a 2-0 drubbing of Qatar, the home side. Not a great way to start the tournament for the home side. Both goals were scored by Ener Valencia of Ecuador. Then on Monday, we saw three powerhouses, three great matches. England crushing Iran, 6-2. Goals coming from Jude Bellingham in the 35th minute, Bukayo Saka in the 43rd minute, Raheem Sterling scoring in the first minute of stoppage time in the first half, Bukayo Saka scoring a second goal, becoming the youngest English footballer to score multiple goals in a World Cup. Mendy Temremi of Iran got one back for Iran in the 65th minute, but Marcus Rashford and Jack Grealish added two more before penalty was awarded to Iran, converted by Mehdi Taremi. So England winning 6-2. Wales and the USA, they came to a 1-1 draw. That match also played on Monday. And before that, we saw Senegal and the Netherlands in Group A action. The Netherlands winning 2-0. Then on Tuesday, it's a shock defeat for Argentina. They lost 2-1 to Saudi Arabia. Argentina got on the board in the first half from a penalty in the 10th minute by Lionel Messi. But then it went downhill in the second half for Argentina as Saudi Arabia scored two surprise goals in the second half. Those goals coming from Saleh Al-Senri in the 48th minute and Salem Al-Dwazwari in the 53rd minute. A screamer from outside the box. Saudi Arabia winning that match 2-1. Then we saw Denmark and Tunisia playing 2-0 all draw up to sports time. The match is being played, Mexico and Poland, and France, the defending champions, taking on Australia. We'll have the results for those in our next Sportscast. Now to news in the NBA matches played on Tuesday. The New York Knicks picked up a big victory over the OKC Thunder, 129-119. The Atlanta Hawks losing to the Cleveland Cavaliers, 114-102. The Indiana Pacers defeating the Orlando Magic, 123-102. And the Chicago Bulls getting a big victory over the Boston Celtics, 121-107. Also on Tuesday night, the Milwaukee Bucks defeating the Portland Trail Blazers, 119-111. The Minnesota Timberwolves edging out the Miami Heat, 105-101. The woes for the defending champions Golden State Warriors continue as the New Orleans Pelicans scored a big, huge double-digit victory, 128-83. The Warriors now 8-10. And also on Monday night, the LA Clippers defeating the Utah Jazz, 121-114. We continue to review the year 2022 in football. Having looked at the international teams, we turn our focus to domestic football. Let's look at back-to-back Premier League champions SL Horsford St. Paul's United FC. There was no doubt as the season began in 2021 that St. Paul's would be crowned champions. They started off the season well, and despite the long layoff from the league due to the COVID-19 lockdowns, St. Paul's didn't skip a beat. When the season started in May of this year, they continued right where they left off, winning the President's Cup by defeating St. Peter's FC and continued their winning ways for the rest of the regular season. St. Paul's won 18 matches, drew 3, and lost only 1 all regular season, racking up 57 points to top the table. In the second annual Super 6 playoffs, St. Paul's only lost 1 match to Village Superstars 1-0. And from there, it was no looking back, romping their way back to Super 6 titles and their 5th Premier League title overall. The kings of local football is undoubtedly St. Paul's FC.
Welcome to the SKN Newsline Weather Report. I am Janil Boone. Here is a look at the forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. For a more detailed weather report, visit our website at www.sknnewsline.com.